What's going on, guys? So today I want to talk a little bit about one of the most important things that I have ever learned in business is what I call and what I've coined pattern intelligence. And pattern intelligence is having an understanding of what is happening and how to read between the lines when you're in meetings, when you're negotiating deals, when you're when you're going through negotiations or whatever. And it could be in life, in business, in anything. One of the keys that I talk about, and I'm writing this is all like in my book and stuff, is like pattern intelligence leads to pattern clarity. Clarity is what we talk about when we talk about the signal, right? Finding the signal amongst all the noise. And if you're not able to ever get to clarity or know how to like use a logical system in your brain, something that can be taught, not just caught, but something that you can actually like teach people. If you can never really get to that and understand like how this works, then it becomes extremely difficult to find the signal amongst the noise. So one of the things, like when it comes specifically, I'll just talk today specifically about like deals and like negotiating and stuff like that, is like you have to be able to see patterns in how someone structures their conversation. So things like their emotion, their position, like in the chair, like their tone or their eye contact. All these things are patterns. And what I've learned through the years, like when I was, early 20s, negotiating big contracts with cell phone carriers and just stuff like that, and just huge companies, companies that were going to spend millions and millions of dollars on our services. What I learned is like there were certain ways that people went about trying to say something and also trying to hide something. So, whenever you're in negotiation, no one's ever going to tell you everything. They're not going to like just reveal everything and show you all their cards. So like you have to know how to pick up on the patterns. So a lot of it is the tempo or the tone. There's a couple things here that I'm just thinking if there was, let me just explain them. One, if you see the way somebody does it, like if you see somebody actually like how they worked a deal, okay, how they did it, their tone, their lean in, their lean back, like their body position, their facial expressions, their movements of their eyes and their head and their hands, and like just the things that they do. Those are all patterns that lead that they frame up what they do in that way. So what I'm saying is like if somebody's trying to convince you that this is the right price or this is what you should buy or this is a good deal or whatever, they will do it in a certain way. And it would benefit you a lot if you have ever seen that person do that to someone else. Now, if you haven't, they may have talked about it. They may have talked about it with someone else. And you may have overheard how they did that, or they may have said it to you. And then if you don't have either one of those, then you would have to have experience of seeing other people like them in that situation and what do they do. And so this is very interesting to me when I get into conversations with people because I can tell right away when they're trying to sell me too hard, when they're trying to push on something, when they're trying to hide something, when they're trying to say like, this is a massive value, you don't understand. And they're like pushing it so hard in a certain way. And which then like that my reaction to that will vary. And I don't really want to go into how I respond. I really want to talk about having the intelligence, the pattern intelligence. Well, there's kind of 4 steps to patterns, pattern intelligence. There's pattern intelligence. This is the way I've coined it. Pattern intelligence. There's pattern clarity. There's pattern mapping, which is another one I'll talk to you about. And then there's pattern mastery in those out. So I'll explain those to you later in another one. But anyway, let me know if this is making some sense to you guys, because seeing patterns is the ultimate way to see and find the signal. It is the ultimate way. Like the more you can see and recognize patterns, the vaster you'll see where the signal is. And the more you realize that, the more clarity you have, and ultimately the more leverage you have. And leverage is power, right? Think about like a lever, like lifting a rock, like back in the old days, like if you want to move a rock or move a stone or move earth or whatever, like you need leverage, right? You can't just do it with your hand. So like, be careful now, because when we talk about power, power can be used for good and evil. So and that's the difference between, great leadership and manipulation. So anyway, I don't want to go on that. That would be kind of like a whole tangent I could go down about recognizing the two. And people who've been hurt by one will always think someone who has good leverage is manipulating them and blah, blah, blah. It's like, so you can't be that kind of person, right? Anyway, but let me just kind of round this out and end it by saying that, like, when you're negotiating with somebody, it could be like a teacher, I'm negotiating with a teacher of one of my kids, and I'm trying to get them to understand that what they did is not worthy of a demerit. Okay. A deal that is worth X millions of dollars. Like, it's all the same. It's all pattern recognition. And the person who recognizes the patterns faster ultimately has the most clarity. The person who recognizes the most patterns definitely has the most clarity. And the person with the most clarity has the most leverage. That is how you separate the signal from the noise. So, all right, guys, hopefully you're liking these. Let's be those people that are about the noise, like cancellation. And we are people that are like living and talking and moving towards the signal. See you guys tomorrow.